welcome back. Of course, Daily Spotlight, and this is an opportunity for you to be a part of the conversation. Please, as we get to reel out the major stories making it on our national dailies this morning, do well to call us and let's have your thoughts on some of these very important issues. We're starting first this morning with Daily Sun. Daily Sun this morning, the big story says, Daily Sun says, federal governments, states, local governments go full cashless, March 1. And the writer here says defaulters risk 3-year jail term. NFRU warns 3 tiers withdraw 1.082 trillion naira in cash between 2015 and now. Another story on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning says presidency. Obi most qualified, says Afe Babalola. Of course, you can get full details of that story on page 6 of the Daily Sun. We also have another story here that says NDDC money spent in Abuja, Dubai, others. Onoche board chair. And more stories says that NNPC denies exporting 17.87 million barrels of oil without documentation. Now, yeah, this brings us to the whole, oil issue that we have in the country. First of all, it's more like there's oil theft going on, pipeline vandalism, pipes are being connected illegally, to siphon oil. The country is losing so much. We cannot even meet up with OPEC quota and all of that. And this morning we're having on the papers that NNPC is denying exporting 17.87 million barrels of oil without documentation. It's a really big pity. We are also talking about the removal of subsidy. And now there are a lot of people that even think that the subsidy thing is a scam, that Nigeria has not been paying subsidy in any form. So what exactly are they trying to remove when they say they are removing subsidy? Serious concerns, I must say. But moving forward now on Daily Sun, we have that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, motorist commuters groan under construction. Grown as construction resumes. That story is found on page 29 of Daily Sun. And then this is another one on page 26. It says, I'll lead Nigeria to prosperity. Of course, coming from the APC presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu. And then he also says, on the rider, says, Kanu rally proves there has nothing to offer. Okay, Kanu rally proves he has nothing to offer, and that's talking about Atiku. We also have a story on local government autonomy. It says local government autonomy stalling constitution review. That's found on page 6, and that's being said by the Deputy Senate President. And more stories says only countries investing in technology can succeed, says Naseni and EVC. And yes, we have a story on the G5 governors in Oyo State. It says G5 governors in Oyo keep mum on Atiku and seek support for other parties' candidates. And then something on security, says Buhari to security agencies end crude oil theft by May 29. Those are some of the stories on the major stories on the front line of Daily Sun this morning. You can check out Daily Sun for all the details of these stories.
Okay, we'll just take The Nation next. And on the front page of Nation this morning, we see their major story say presidential poll. G5 keeps PDP supporters in suspense. We also have there as another story, all APC governors behind Tinubu, Sule affirms. That story can be found on page 6. Council autonomy are a headache on constitution amendment. That's on page 28 if you want to look into that story. Fuel station sealed for selling above approved price. That story is also on page 22. Aregbesol's men in Osun APC campaign team. That story is on page 27 of The Nation this morning. We also have a story here that says NFRU to enforce ban on cash withdrawals from public accounts from March 1st. That story is available on, that story is on the front page actually. We also see here Tinubu, I'll convert Yahoo boys to tech experts. Okay, that's a major big one coming from the APC presidential candidate right there. We also have Yemakinde to announce preferred candidate. Group protest exclusion of Atiku's name on list. The last story that we will take this morning on the front page of The Nation is couple, 6 others arrested for allegedly killing and selling woman parts. These are things happening in Nigeria that you can find on The Nation.
Okay, I think I saw the story about Tinubu saying that he'll actually convert Yahoo boys to tech experts.
Yeah.
More like harnessing their potential, to turn it into something better for the country. But let's see how that goes,
Definitely.
eventually if he becomes the president. And if any other person becomes the president, maybe they'll buy into that, idea of his of turning Yahoo boys.
That was something that was encouraged in Akwa Ibom State here by the former governor Obong Victor saying, irrespective of who wins the gubernatorial seat, so we can extend it, irrespective of who wins the presidential seat, maybe at the end of the day, bring in all the ideologies of all the other, political gladiators and candidates, and let's see how we can move the state forward. So like you said, maybe someone would have to borrow a leaf from Tinubu.
But again, turning Yahoo boys into,
Tech experts.
Tech experts, is that not also encouraging more people to go into the business of Yahoo so they can be turned into tech experts?
No, what he's saying is that when he turns them into tech experts,
they will
then
leave the job.
Yes, they will no longer have Yahoo boys. Yes.
Well, that's also creating, employment opportunities for the teeming youth.
Harnessing their already available abilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at our next paper. Of course, the phone lines are on your screen. You can be a part of the conversation by calling us up this morning and letting us know your thoughts as it concerns some of these major headlines reeled out this morning. This day is the next paper we are going to be taking, This Day newspaper. And the big story on This Day newspaper says, chance of Atiku as Makinde launches second term campaign. Now, the writer is quite pretty small letters, but I'll try to read that. The writer says, G5 members committed to PDP, says Autumn. At Oyo rally, aggrieved governors refuse to name presidential candidates to support. Ikpazu kinsmen pledge support for Atiku. PDP, PCC mocks who now? Mocks Tinubu's rally for inability to speak on policy issues at Kanu. We also have another writer here that has to do with that story. It says Kanu PDP APC candidate tired, has nothing to offer. He should go home and rest. Finally, Wike approves Atiku campaign rally in Rivers. Oh wow!
Okay, that's a big story.
Yes, that's a great story there. And then we also have another story here. It says Justice UKJ's 80th birthday dinner. Of course, INEC presidential poll results to be collated in ICC in Abuja. And then there's a story on Tinubu that says Obasanjo unfit to recommend precedent for Nigeria. And then we also have something here says NFRU unveils fresh guidelines to bolster CBN's cash withdrawal policy. These are some of the stories on This Day newspaper. You can check it out for more details. But I think that a lot is still being said about Obasanjo's endorsement of Peter Obi. A lot is also being said about what happened in your state yesterday, where even in the midst of campaigning for Seyi Makinde to be re-elected, for a second term, there were also chants of Atiku, Atiku, Atiku. And I like the fact that you even brought up the story or the narrative of how will this in-house wrangling in the PDP affect Sheyi Makinde? Will he be at the receiving end of all of this?
Yeah.
Knowing also that other G5 governors have wrapped up their tenures, you know, and maybe so some Nigerians, they have nothing to lose again. Maybe in future where they get to vie for another political position. But Sheyi Makinde seems to be in the middle of all this mix, because there's Atiku Abubakar on one end vying for the presidential candidacy, and there's also Sheyi Makinde on this other end, you know, asking for a second term as governor of Oyo State. So what effects will all of this in-house wrangling be having on the PDP or be having on Sheyi Makinde and his ambition too?
We really do hope that it doesn't fight him at the end of the day.
Definitely.
So we'll just take our next spotlight on our daily, and we'll be going to the Punch newspaper this morning. And as a major story on the front page of the Punch, says 28 governors pile up 5.8 trillion debt for incoming governments. I'd like to read that again. 28 governors pile up 5.8 trillion debt for incoming governments. That already spells a lot of trouble. The writer says state debt to rise above 200% of revenue in 2023, says the World Bank. Lagos cannot execute laudable projects without loans. Commissioner. Another story there that we have that says consumers may say electricity tariff hike illegal, anger spreads. That story can be found on page 21 and 22 of the Punch newspaper. We also have to the far right of the newspaper there we have federal government gives operators ultimatum to name oil well owners. Okay, that's a big one, page 21. One will begin to ask, doesn't the federal government know who they allotted the oil wells to? Another story there says 2 senior lawyers want EFCC scrapped. That story is on page I think page 8 now. 2 senior lawyers want EFCC scrapped. We move to the next story on the front page of the Punch. Says supporters demand sainthood for Benedict as ex-pope is buried. Okay, of course, the late pope has been laid to rest. Makinde kickstarts second term campaign, faces multiple battles, page 7. How Lagos policeman ministry paid 185,000 for newborn. That story is on page 16 and page 17 of the Punch newspaper. And the last story we are taking on the front page of the Punch newspaper says Lagos Ibadan highway commuters groan as Julius Berger returns. Pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper.
So those are all the stories that we have on our Spotlight Dailies this morning. But great stories. Of course, if you want to get more details, you have to pick a copy of any of the national dailies and get details of it. But yeah, you were asking if the federal government does not
is
know,
unaware of the
owners of oil wells and all of that. Well, these are questions Nigerians will also ask as well. But it's a good thing that of course we keep talking about the situations or the issues or the stories around the country Nigeria, and also try to offer solutions to some of these challenges as well. Nigeria is a country just like every other country in the globe. We all have our peculiar challenges, but we have to do what we have to do to make sure that we get to solve these challenges. On that note, we'll take a short breather, and when we come back, of course, we'll be looking at some of the things that happened in the Peace Pact signing that happened in Akwa Ibom State. Some of the things that, the gubernatorial candidates of the different parties in Akwa Ibom State actually pushed forward that they will be doing if elected as governors in the state. These and many more will be coming your way when we return. Just stay with us.